Hello. This is going to be a video going into a little more detail pertaining to the Casio dbc-150, and I kind of wanted to go over some of this stuff, and I wanted there to be pretty good documentation regarding some of its features, and just kind of zooming in on the functions and the keyboard and the screen and display. I know there's a couple of videos, a couple of them are by me, but there was some rambling and some things were non-relevant, so they did turn out pretty well, but I think I could do better with this one. So anyways, that's the objective here. I also would like to make a comparison between the Casio dbc-150 and this. This is made to look very similar to a Casio, but it is not. You'll notice that it says digitech databank 50. See if I can zoom in and lay it down for the sake of getting a real good picture here. You'll notice that it has almost exactly the same look as far as the display is concerned with the Casio. There are some subtle differences here and there, and I know it looks like it might be harder to read, and I really don't think that. I think it's got more to do with me just scratching it up and the glare coming from my lamp here. So I suppose I can rotate them and see what that does. Actually, the Casio still looks better. Well, anyways, that's not really the point. I wanted to talk about some of the features that this particular guy has, and then do a comparison between these two. First of all, the Casio DBC 150, I believe, was originally released in 1996. I do not know its retail price back then. I'm guessing probably close to anywhere from $40 to maybe $60 or something like that. And I think somebody had given me one of these as a gift, I think back in 2000, and it was borrowed from me along with some other my personal things. And I've been without this for many years, and decided a couple of years ago I was going to get another. And I remember seeing them at Walmart's, miscellaneous other stores similar to that, for on clearance for like maybe $20 or $30. And I thought, nah, I don't need to get another one of those. I've got my smartphone now, and I kick myself in the butt now, because I wish I would have picked one up for that much, because I ended up getting this on eBay used for $109 shipped. It was supposed to be lightly used, and you know how that goes with eBay. I mean, it's in good enough shape, but it's just crazy to me that it came to me in this condition for $109. But hey, you know what? I think it's kind of interesting or cool that people still want these, and despite all of our technological advancements since then, these still have a place. Granted, for maybe most of us, it's nostalgia. But anyways, the craze about these watches was, a couple of different things. See if I can throw something up here for the sake of scale. There's a quarter. It was relatively big, but it had packed a lot of function into it, and it looked, something like that on your wrist, and it had, your typical digital watch features, such as your day. Let's see if I can get this down. Day, date, time, the month, year, and I think we have a stopwatch and some other things like that, which I'll get in a little more detail about that. But one of the main things that this had was a calculator built in. As you can see, it's just a basic calculator. 1, 2, 3, and equals 4, 5, 6. .pm 7890 miscellaneous functions and clear and whatnot over here on the sides. But the main thing about it is that not only would it do that, but it also would store information like phone numbers and very small memos, and it had somewhat of a calendar right on the screen here. It only shows this week and next, but it's still kind of handy. One of the benefits to this guy, even today versus a smartphone, is I don't know about you guys, but almost every time I need my phone for something beyond the ordinary, it's dead. My battery's dead. So if I'm using the stopwatch to time anything, something at work, maybe I'm out in the field and I need to time how much a certain event takes place. All the time I go to refer to that time or that stopwatch or stop or hit a lap or whatever, and the battery's dead and the stopwatch is done. And you won't have to worry about this. All the little novelty or all the little features of this just work. You don't have to reset it. You're not going to lose, it's not going to stop telling you the time right in the middle of keeping time, or lose a phone number, or whatever. But anyways, I'm kind of babbling on here. Let me get more specific. Let me see here. So here is the watch, and I'll go over the display in a little more detail. As you can see, we have the calendar at the very top. We have this next, and then underneath that it says week. Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday. That is static. That's not going to change. You can pull a battery out of this, and that tiny little calculator is not going to go anywhere. So if I had an event scheduled for Monday at 9 a.m., it would show up, under Monday, and it would just put a little block in that spot. I don't know if you can see that real well. There's no spots right now. There's no dots. And let's see here. This little guy over here indicates, I think it indicates, don't quote me on this, but it indicates if the backlight is turned on regarding alarms. So if you set an alarm, believe the backlight's going to flicker as the alarm beeps, and it's not a real loud alarm. And then right here, obviously, we have the day, the year, the month, and the day, which I think is kind of backwards, but that's how we do things here in America. AM, we have the hourly chime on, we have the alarm on, that you can see the little symbols above the 2, and it's 2:37 a.m. Below this display, we have this great big light button. And let's see, I'll give you a brief demonstration. It's pretty much pitch black, as you can see, but I'll hit the button there and try to get the camera to focus at the same time. Not going to work too well, but good enough. That light works very well, and it is very easy to hit. If again, pulling the quarter out for reference, I mean, it's pretty good size. And it's hard to miss that. And that's one of the main reasons why I like this watch over some of the others that exist in the DBC line. Let's see here. Other buttons. I kind of already went over this keyboard. These keys are actually hard to hit. I'm going to go ahead and give you a demonstration. You have to use your fingernail. I would be a little afraid to use a pen. I would be afraid that I'm going to gouge these and wear these guys out. Apparently the letters are on the some kind of this gray plastic going around the border. Apparently that can rub off. These aren't going to rub off. There's actually rubber bubbled up. I don't think the camera's picking that up very well. But those are bubbled up, and the actual numbers are underneath. That's a translucent, like rubber, and they barely move when you press them. So, anyways, it gets the job done. And I don't know how many digits that calculator is. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Looks like 8. 8's our limit. You can see where I pressed in with my fingernail. I left an indentation on the 9 key, but it pops back out. It's kind of this stiff, rubbery plastic stuff. I don't know. I kind of like it, but not as good as the generic one, but we'll get to that. We'll get to him in a minute. Cycling through the modes. This is the main thing that I wanted covered that has not been covered on YouTube just yet. We have these 4 buttons going around the edge of the watch. One is recessed, so we won't accidentally bump it. Another one's here, and we have 2 more the same positions. This side we have adjust. Again, let me lay that down and just zoom in so I have a nice still video. And you would use that to adjust time and to create and edit contacts. And I'll get to that in a second. The mode button is what toggles us through all the different modes. And then over here we have C, AC, search, and shift. C and AC, that's clear and all clear. Those are functions for the calculator. And the shift, I don't really remember the specific point of shift off the top of my head, but it's not what I'd previously suggested in another video. It's more for secondary functions of, it seems like intrinsic little options, like maybe turning the backlight off with the alarm, I think, or something. So if we go in here to the alarm, no. Well, I guess I should have done my homework. Oh, there we are. It is actually shifting above the 8. It's shifting through the different alarm modes. So, anyways, again, if we're at any screen and we want to go back to what I'm going to call the home screen, you press and hold the home button. And boom. And you'll notice the beep going back home is a little different than all the other beeps. So anyways, oh yeah, I didn't really talk about search. Search would be something that you would use to, let's say that, okay, the name 150. It means that this thing can hold 150 pages of information. And don't mistake a page here with like a page in a book. A page on this device is very small. It's not impressive. So you can have 50 calendar events and then 100 phone number or memos. You only have 150 pages. So if you have, say you mark Christmas as a scheduled event and you mark it to repeat, so that you don't have to put it back in there, such as like anniversaries and birthdays and things. If you memory protect those items, they're not going to delete when the alarm is sounded. When that moment comes for that event, it stays in the calendar. So that comes in handy for birthdays and things like that. But anyways, every one of those entries counts as a page. And I don't mean to say Christmas, December 25th, 2013 is going to repeat indefinitely, and every one of those instances occupies one of the 150. I don't mean to imply that. That's not the case. It's still, no matter how many times that event goes and comes over the years that you own the watch, it only counts as one item. So, I didn't mean to make that more complicated than it is, but I felt should elaborate because you're very limited on what you have here, which is fine. This is really, in my opinion, 150 is plenty. Not for if you're a car salesman or realtor or something like that. You're probably going to be pushing it, but just for the average everyday person who's keeping a few birthdays and a few phone numbers, 150 is fine. So, babbled on enough about that. Let's move on through the modes. Okay, so we press the mode button once, and actually I don't want to share someone's phone number. I probably already barely did. So let me get it out of view. Yeah, that's one of my customers. See if I can find a dummy phone number. Oh, here's a blank page. And a blank page is what you use to create a new one. So right now that's not occupying any memory. So if I was to hit this button here, you'll notice that we have a flashing cursor in that text field. And that text field is very small. It's only from where that cursor starts to approximately right about there. You can almost see, if I shift it around, you can almost see where it begins and where it ends. And it will scroll off the screen, so that's kind of handy. So if I was to create a contact for G and GA E or M, just making random stuff up. If we wanted it to be R is the next character, you hit it once for Q and again for R. The light button serves as the space, and the mode button serves as the backspace for now. And we also have this forward reverse, so I think we can scroll. No, that just saved it. Okay, now let me get this back out of the view of the camera. There it is. Okay, so let's just go ahead and continue on, and to show you how many characters it can hold. It's not very many. We'll backspace. Looks like we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. So 8 characters, and that's not. You're going to be abbreviating people's last names. So, anyways, coming on over here, you got plenty of space for phone numbers though. 765 space 587 space. Oh, down here's the actual real space, and then 89. I want to go back and 69. I'm just making a random number up, and then we hit the adjust button, and boom, there it is. And this is what it looks like. You'll notice that it's scrolling, and where it begins, there's that little arrow pointing to the left. There's not much to it. So anyways, moving on to the next mode. I'm going to take it out of field of view for a second and bring it back. I just wanted to make sure nothing personal was going to come up. Here's Christmas, December 25th at 12 a.m. And I have this -P. P means memory protects. Now, it actually doesn't have anything to do with this memory protect that they're talking about, at least as far as I know. Maybe I should have covered this earlier, but this watch has what's called an EEPROM, electronical erasable programmable read-only memory, I think is what that acronym stands for. It's a common thing in motherboards for desktop, or actually computers in general. That way, when you pull the battery from this, your contacts and things that you wanted to make sure you didn't lose, you're going to keep them. I don't know if you have to put them under that -P for everything. I'm assuming that this just locks this event. I don't know for sure. I could be wrong. But anyways, let's move on to the next item. Let's see here. You know what? I didn't show you what it looks like to scroll in through phone numbers. Okay. There's a random number. And basically, I'm hitting forward, reverse. It's these little buttons down here. Okay. Next mode, calendar. There's Christmas, blank, and Christmas. That's the only thing I had. If I had other events in here, other calendar events, they would pop up while scrolling through. But I don't have anything in here right now. I will, though. I just haven't taken the time to do it. We hit the mode button again, and now we're in the calculator. I already kind of showed you the calculator. Hit it again, and now we're at the world time. For some reason, it's sitting on Rio. I like to throw it on California because I have family out that way. So let's, again, we can go forward or reverse. London, Paris, France, etc., etc. Like I said, these buttons are hard to hit. Chicago, Denver, LAX. So almost 3 o'clock here, almost midnight out there on the West Coast. So anyways, next feature, alarm. Pretty self-explanatory. We only have one alarm. Mine's set for 8 a.m. I wish we had more more alarms, but we only have the one. But the cool thing is we do have a snooze. I think I accidentally discovered that. The light button is a snooze somehow. If your alarm goes off and you hit that button, it sets some kind of a snooze. I'm usually half asleep. I don't really pay attention to that. What's after that? Then we get a timer. You can set this all the way up to 24 hours. It's currently set for 1 minute. And setting that, again, you just use the adjust button and you get the cursor to flash, and then you make your adjustments. Hit the button again to save it, and I believe this is start, so now it's counting down. And as soon as it counts down, it's going to beep. Well, I happen to put this little symbol in there next to the timer. I guess that's an hourglass. What that means is it's going to loop. So as soon as it hits 1 minute, it's going to beep and then start over again. Whatever purpose you may have for that. I mean, maybe you're timing something on a manufacturing line. Who knows? But I mean, there's all kinds of practical uses for that as far as I'm concerned. So I'm going to let that roll in the background. We're going to move on to the next mode. Stopwatch. Pretty much self-explanatory. Super handy, at least for me in my line of work. I'm always timing things, and it just comes in handy. And like I said, it works. There's nothing fancy about it. Start, stop, reset. I think it's even got a split. So there's our 1 minute timer going off. And that was the last feature. Okay, so that's that. Again, great watch. It's still very much worth the $109 as far as I'm concerned. This is not an original band, by the way. I do like it, but I wish it would have came with original. I was told that it looked like it was barely used, but anyways, that's fine. Coming back to this guy. While looking for one of these, I found this, and while this was used for $109, I found this guy. It was $13 shipped, and it was brand new. And I can tell you that when I first looked at it, I thought, okay, what's the deal? Why is that watch so much cheaper than this one? Because at a first glance, they look very much alike, with the exception of these keys being white, which they actually made a white keyed version of the DBC units or models. So, but I after looking at it, I realized that it was kind of a clone or a ripoff, or whatever you want to say. But I thought, hey, for $13, I got to check it out. It's the band feels very rubbery. Very plasticky. It doesn't feel like it's going to last. I think somewhere I read that the pin in the buckle down here is plastic, which is a terrible idea. Let's see here. It's not waterproof. And I don't know that this is necessarily waterproof. It doesn't say anywhere about it being waterproof. But, you know, when I used to have one of these years ago, I didn't hesitate to take this in the pool with me. Let's see if I can get it to focus on the back. And it doesn't say anything. I know it's got O-rings. I've taken it apart. It's got an O-ring or a gasket going all the way around. Every one of these buttons has an O-ring or a gasket on the buttons. And I wouldn't hesitate to take this thing. Getting it all wet, sweaty, whatever it is I'm doing, I don't fear. But this, the first night I got it, I ran it underneath the water for a split second to see what it would do, and it immediately started beeping, and the display got all screwed up. The very next day, it was fine. The display cleared up, and I know that it's making me a liar right now, but maybe the plastic that they made this out of is less scratch resistant and less glare resistant over the brand name. But going overboard, that's kind of getting on my nerves. I'm going to turn that guy off real quick. Okay. Back to the cheapo guy. Let's see here. Digitech, Databank, 50, Illuminator. You know, we have pretty much the same stuff right on the screen. Let's see if I can get this to focus. Again, we have that counter at the top. We have the day, year, month, and day, time. Our AM, PM is in a slightly different position. The alarm information is to the left of the Sunday there, whereas and this guy is below the U and the N. But he still has that text field that's unique to the rest of the display, beginning here and coming down here. Let's see. We have an adjust button, much like we have an adjust here, but on the original it's recessed. On this guy it is not. We have a mode button, which does pretty much exactly the same thing, and we have on this side we only have one button, whereas on the Casio we have two. We have a CCC, start and stop. So we got some calculator and stopwatch functions over there. If you really think about it, the shift key is kind of wasted on this guy, so I don't blame him for cutting that corner. I've actually taken the back off this just out of curiosity because it behaves so much like this guy that I didn't know what I was going to find when I opened it. Was it going to have the same guts as this guy? But no, they're completely different. The old stuff from 1995 or 6 in this actually look more current than what's in this. This has a great big board with giant components on it. It looks like barely fits inside there. And it looks like it was hand soldered by some kid. Now, supposedly, this was made in Japan. I don't know if I buy that. It could have been. It kind of feels like Chinese in the way that it's a ripoff. You know how the Chinese do, but then again, the quality is actually not bad. So, and the features are there. In fact, there are features on this guy that really make this guy shine compared to him. Now, there's a couple of things about him that are very, very annoying. You know, obviously the band can be changed. If you break this band or this clasp or buckle, you can replace it. But coming back to the unit here, as far as these buttons go, you'll notice that we have a backlight button. That is so hard to hit with your finger, and I mean you gotta rotate your finger around just right to where you can actually get it down in there and press it. And you'll notice that it's incandescent and it's just barely visible down there in the bottom left corner, and it's hard to see the display. It can be done, but you got to really pay attention. Unlike this guy, I mean that's pretty easy, easily done, easy to hit, and easy to see. So that's a pretty big design flaw, in my opinion. Let's see here. These buttons for the calculator are obviously different than this guy. These are almost flush, and it's almost like a pad laying on top of the case, whereas this is more like a TV remote. They're soft, rubbery, and they're coming from underneath this case, and they protrude out the top, and they stand out quite a bit. They're very easy to see and very easy to hit. Let's see here if I can get to where I can demonstrate how rubbery and soft those are. Very easy to press. And again, we have the same functions with the calculator. It's almost identical, and you can hit a button and go back and look at your last scheduled event, much like the Casio has that function. By the way, both of these support military time. And then this will show us our phone number, which I'm going to take out of display. Okay, it's safe. It's just a dummy. But they've even mimicked this blue bar right here, but it says email memory instead of memory protect. Let's do a brief demonstration. I'm about ready to run out of space. I better show you the features. By the way, I haven't found a character limitation for that text field. That's an also great big awesome thing. Looks like I've got 273 megs to go, and it's dropping quickly. Mode, email, I've got 7 units, just like this guy over here. The next item, schedule, just like over here. Calculator, just like over there. Conversion, a feature he doesn't have. World time, just like he has. Alarm, just like he has. Stopwatch, just like he has. Countdown timer, very similar. In fact, I think I put Christmas in there again, and there's 107 days till Christmas. This doesn't do that. I can only count down 24 hours. This I can do, gosh, I don't even know what. We got hours till Christmas, minutes, and then seconds. So that's a feature we don't really have over there. And then back to the home screen. So, not waterproof. The backlight sucks. The band, you can replace it, but I would definitely say it's worth $13. And again, it's a Digitech DataBank 50, and I don't know how much data you can put in there, but I can tell you that I have put up to 30 characters in that field trying to create a memo. Say you want to put a formula in or something like that, or mathematics or something like that. You can slide that in there with no problem. I don't know why we have only 8 characters over on this guy, but and the 50 implies that this can only hold 50 units or 50 pages. I don't know that to be true or not. So, in conclusion, here's the old reliable for lots of money and a few less features, but in 5 years, see me. I got a feeling this thing's going to be in the trash. And this thing I'm still probably going to be